Hi, my name is Kevin McNeilly, and I am the lecturer, the instructor for this section of English 111, which is studies in prose nonfiction, section 002. So if you're in the right place right now, watching this video, you'll be a member of section 002. We're going to take a look at an intense look, I hope, an intensive look at 7 works of prose nonfiction in this course. And I'm going to be concentrating on the theme of what I'm calling dislocations, what we'll all end up calling together an idea of dislocations. So all 7 of these texts deal in some measure with how it is we write ourselves into place, how it is we understand where we come from, how that sense of belonging to a national or ethnic or cultural or geographical identity affects how it is that we articulate our senses of who we are and how we belong. So that's sort of a general idea of what we're going to be thinking about in this course. I'll talk for a few minutes about what it is that prose is, what it is that nonfiction is, after I go through a few housekeeping details. So the first one is, why are you watching this video? I am currently, at the time that this is being played for you, away at a conference. I have to do a presentation at a conference at the University of Guelph, in fact. So I won't be on campus, on the UBC campus, during the first week of September. So we're experiencing some technical difficulties here with the PowerPoint. This happens in classes anyway, so I'll just put it back up. Well, it's not really a PowerPoint, it's a... there we go. Just some text that'll prove useful to you, just a web address that I'll get to in just a second. I'm not going to be on campus, as I was saying, for the first week of classes. So you'll have this video, which is not too long, just be a few more minutes, in fact, as an introduction to me and to the course for Wednesday's lecture. And then the course is structured with lectures on Monday and Wednesday in Hennings 202, which is the room you should be in right now, as far as I know. And on Friday you will have tutorials, you'll have group discussion groups with a teaching assistant, with a TA. I'm filming this in mid-August, and so I haven't actually got a finalized list of your TAs in this particular section yet. So we'll have to wait and see who that is. They'll be around you right now. In fact, maybe if they're willing, I could get them to just take a second and stand up and wave, and so you know who they are. So TAs, could you do this? Just stand up and turn around and wave to the class. I'll wave too, so everybody can wave. Hey, welcome. All right. So you will have, as I said, lectures on Monday and Wednesday, and then in a different room, not in this room, you will have discussion groups with the TAs. So you will be coming to the discussion groups, I hope this Friday. It's a chance to get to know your TA and to sort of sort out where you are and the kind of things you'll be doing. But we aren't actually going to have much to talk about in terms of the course material, in terms of the texts we're actually dealing with. So you'll have to wait on that, but it's a good idea to come and introduce yourself to each other and to get to know a little bit about each other and get to know, get a bit familiar with how things are going to work. All right, so again, Monday and Wednesday the lectures, Fridays discussion groups. Now the reason that I've got this up here, I think I'll turn it off in a second, it's kind of glaring, but this is an address for my Faculty of Arts homepage. If you click on this address, HTTP, all that kind of stuff, no www, then faculty.arts.ubc.ca/ and most of my name. They cut off the Y on my homepage. or index page. So it's KMCNEILL. If you put this address into your browser, you'll get my index page for my faculty pages. And if you scroll down just a little bit, it should all fit on your screen anyway, but you'll see there's a tab there, a little button marked Courses. And if you click on that, and then and you'll get a list of all the courses I've taught with hyperlinks to them. And if you click on the link for English 111 for this year, 111 section 002, you'll get, what I hope is a fairly complete, it's under construction right now, but a fairly complete web page with the course syllabus, the readings, the grade breakdown, and all that kind of stuff that you'll need, as well as links to various kinds of supporting materials, electronic versions of the text for the course, if that's possible, and things like that. So please go to this website when you have a moment, and that should give you all the information you need. Especially important would be the textbooks, the course books that we're going to be studying. So, with that in mind, there are 7 of them. The first one we're going to have to take a look at, and you'll have to read this over the weekend, or I guess for the rest of this week and over the weekend. I'll be lecturing on Lavinia Greenlaw's The Importance of Music to Girls. It's a kind of a memoir of a disco punk rocker. So take a look at that book. It's a good read. It's a fairly quick read. And I'll be lecturing on this coming Monday on that book. That's what we'll be starting with. Lavinia Greenlaw, The Importance of Music to Girls. Another important textbook of the 7 course book that you'll want to take a look at is Kathleen Jamie's Findings. Findings by Kathleen Jamie. You'll notice if you go and take a look at the order of the lectures on the course syllabus that I have lifted essays from this book, from Findings by Kathleen Jamie, and sort of peppered them throughout the term. So we'll be coming back to Kathleen Jamie's book, I suppose intermittently. We'll be looking at an essay at a time, one every 2 weeks from that book. The specific essays you'll have to read will be listed on the course syllabus. So again, take a look there online. There's our web address again. Take a look online. So Kathleen Jamie, Findings would be the second book you'll have to take a look at. And frankly, right now, things are in a little bit of flux still as we put our courses together. So I'm not entirely sure of the order for the rest of the texts, but I can roughly tell you that we'll be looking at Marjan Satrapi's Persepolis, really the first of 2 volumes of Persepolis. We'll concentrate on the first volume, which is a graphic memoir, kind of what they call graphica. It's not a graphic novel, it's not fiction. We're going to define what nonfiction is just a little bit in a few minutes. But have a look at that as well. It's a really interesting read. And we'll be talking about the visual and how it is that the visual and the textual intersect, what the graphic is, and how this connects to this course theme I've been hinting at, dislocation. So Marjan Satrapi's Persepolis. We're also looking at Joan Didion's A Year of Magical Thinking, a memoir by a preeminent essayist from the United States. We'll look at Out of Africa by Karen Blixen, or also known as Isaac Dinesen. And a very interesting, again, memoir, autobiographical piece about her time in Kenya, in what's now Kenya, in Central Africa, Central Eastern Africa. Out of Africa, and as a kind of response to that, I suppose, I've put on a work by, again, another memoir of childhood by Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who is a Kikuyu writer, also from this part of Kenya, and it deals with his memories of the Mau Mau uprising and being a child during that time. So there's that, and let's see, one more, Fred Waugh's Diamond Grill, a work that deals with sort of hybrid, complex Canadian identities, multicultural identities and things like that, and tries to find a sort of correspondent writing style to connect to this idea of existing in a hyphenated state, as Waugh would say. So Fred Was, Diamond Grill. I think that's all 7. I think I've listed them all. So have a look at those texts. That's approximately the order we'll be dealing with them, in which we'll be dealing with them. But as I said, at the time I'm recording this, things are in a little bit of flux. Please have a look at online as well for the schedule of assignments. So we should be doing, again, at this point, it's a little unstable, but this is pretty much it. We should be doing 3 essays during the term. The amount that those are worth will be online. The essay prompts, the topic sheets, will also be disseminated electronically, so you can get those from our website, from the course website, once they've been put in place. I don't know what I've left out, probably a lot. You can find my office hours and my phone number for my office, my email, my Twitter feed, web page addresses and things like that, all on this website. So if you have to contact me, and feel free to do so, I keep regular office hours, which will also be listed on the website during the term. And you also should have contact information for your particular TA that you can find there. So take a look for all that contact information. We all keep office hours, and we welcome your feedback, and we're glad to interact with you. So please come by and visit us to talk about the course, to talk about ideas you have, to talk about your writing, all that kind of thing. So we're there for you, and we're very pleased to have some contact. Please do feel free to drop by during office hours or to email us with any questions you might have. I think that's it. So just a couple of quick comments on the course theme. As I said, we're talking about dislocations and some things to pay attention to as you're reading, as you're doing your reading. Remember, again, it's for next week. Please start in and try and finish. It's not too long. Lavinia Greenlaw's The Importance of Music to Girls. So one of the things to look for is a sense, remember the course is called Dislocations, a sense of displacement and of the displaced self. How do these people find ways, these writers find ways to think about and to try and determine something about, to say something about who they are and how they locate themselves, their sense of voice, for instance. What do their voices sound like? How do they learn to speak? There's a very interesting incident near the beginning of Greenlaw's memoir, for example, where she gets into an accident that affects her voice. So this has something to do with how it is that she understands herself as a writer, as a person, in fact, as someone who is confessing or describing or talking about who she is and where she comes from. So that's very much worth paying attention to as you read. One of the things to think about too is why a particular writer has chosen the form that they have. Why do they put their words in the order and give them the shape that they have given to them? What is the rationale, or what are the rationales for this? So as you're reading, try to think about this as well. Maybe again along the lines of these themes I've started to outline about place and identity, because that's what I'll be talking about in the lectures and what we'll be encouraging you to pursue in your discussion groups, those kinds of ideas. Finally, I said we would define in these few minutes what it is that prose is and what it is that nonfiction is. So in some ways it's just very simple. People use these terms a little bit loosely, and we want to be a bit careful with them when we're talking about this material in a classroom or in an academic setting. So prose, though, is simply unmetered language, if you want to think of it that way. Language that doesn't have line links, that doesn't have a fixed or set rhythm to it. It's the opposite of poetry. A couple of the writers we're dealing with are poets, in fact, Kathleen Janey and Lavinia Greenlaw. And so the sense of a poetics in language, of language working with a certain kind of rhythmic or structural, a set of structural or rhythmic imperatives is important to them. It's how they think about language. But prose for them is a kind of more loosely woven kind of practice of language. So that's worth thinking about. And when we say prose, that's basically what we mean, though, is unmetered, unrhythmatized language. It's what most of us read and how most of us speak. Okay, so prose. Nonfiction You might think of this idea in terms of something like reality TV. That is to say, fiction simply refers to any kind of writing or film or any kind of narrative form that is fake, that's full of lies, or that somehow doesn't necessarily tell you what really happened. If you watch any reality TV, one of the questions that comes up repeatedly is this staged, right? Is this constructed? Sometimes the people who are on these shows, cooking shows to survive or to whatever, will say things like, oh, I was edited to appear a certain way. Things were left out. Well, that's, in some sense, they're claiming to have been artificially manipulated using structures that come to us from fiction, from the contrivance, in some ways, of make-believe. Non-fiction aims, by and large, always using various elements of form and structure, of course, but aims to disclose something of a candid nature, to tell something that, as Stephen Colbert says, has a kind of truthiness about it, or at least appears to be true. It aspires to disclosure. So non-fiction tries, in its own way, to get away from all those techniques of obfuscation and artifice and lying, right? To get away from things that are made up, from the imaginary. At the same time, you'll see right away, of course, the idea of the faultiness of memory, of the fact that we do reconstruct and remake ourselves and our images and how our voices and how we understand ourselves all the time. So that nonfiction represents a kind of ideal often. It's the best that you can do, perhaps, to come close to disclosing what might be true, or to putting the idea of what's true into question, to making it something of a problem. So think about those ideas, start reading Lavinia Greenlaw, go to your discussion groups on Friday, and I will see you on Monday coming. I hope you have a great first week of classes, and it's nice to meet you electronically, and I'll meet you in person next week. Take care.